Hey everyone, welcome to Stuff I Never Learned from a Schoolbook. If you're looking at the bearded one, it's Monday night, 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific, 2 out in Hawaii, 6 a.m. tomorrow out in Indonesia, and about 9 a.m. out tomorrow in Australia. Welcome everybody to Stuff I Never Learned from a Schoolbook. If you're looking at me, I am the bearded one. My name is Tom Springer, and I'm the host of the show. Welcome to the show if you are a first timer. If you are a repeat offender, welcome back. You know who you are. I call you guys my family. So things are a little different tonight. I don't have a guest. They decided not to show so far for some reason. So I don't know if they got the time wrong or whatever happened, but for some reason, it's just me. So I'm going to go ahead and turn tonight into a free-for-all. So questions, answers, you guys got questions, feel free to ask them. Like I said, for those who are just coming in, my guest was a no-show. I don't know what happened. I haven't heard from him at all. I'm assuming that it may be something as simple as a not understanding time differences, which happens, or something else came up and they just haven't reached out to me or whatever. So it's just me tonight. I'm just going to be chatting. Don't know how long this is going to be. It depends on how active you all are and how much I'm talking. So welcome to whoever's in the room. No one's chatting yet, so I don't even know if I have anyone with me yet. But so I'm just going to keep going for a few minutes, see what happens, and see if I get people showing up. Hopefully all my channels are working. I think they are. One of them said it was disconnected beforehand, and right now I'm showing all of them connected. So hopefully that's working as well. So, not really. Hi, honey. So my wife is in here, so that's good. You look like you're the only one, as far as I can tell. You're it. So again, I'm just going to kind of hang out for a few minutes, see if anyone else decides to pop in and they want to come on the show, or they want to talk, ask questions. Tonight's going to be a open mic night, just me. I do not have a guest for some reason. They did not show up. So it's just me for now. And like I said, I can do an open mic night. I can kind of talk about whatever. People have questions. I'm more than happy to talk about whatever. Hi, Kathy. How are you? So if you have questions, feel free to ask. I will do my best to answer them. For those who missed out, last time I went to Orlando MegaCon and did a lot of work there with the Paranormal Existence Research Society crew. A lot of questions, handful of panels that we took part in and everything else. I am signing up for my first individual kind of Mystic Fest out here, where I plan on trying to be a vendor. I did sign up for it. Now I just got to wait to see if I'm accepted for it and see if I can go sit down at a booth for 2 days and see if people want to come up and talk to me, ask questions, or curious about what I do or who I am or anything else. So that'll be interesting to do as well. But again, right now it is just me. My guest is a no-show for right now. I don't know if he will show up, if he's just late or if he just did not know what time zone was or anything else. But right now it's just me. So I'm going to do an open mic night. I'm going to run it for a little while. I do have people popping in, but if I don't have a lot of interest tonight, hi Christy, how are you? Then it'll be a short night for everybody. I don't really have too much myself to talk about outside of working a couple cases that I'm still kind of quiet about, but I am working a couple things. One is with our PERS team, and one is with an individual who asked me to reach out and do a remote for him, which may be a possibly pertaining to an exorcism. So I was asked about that. So, so I get people that pop in every once in a while. Every once in a while, you'll see me that I pause for a second simply because I have people that pop in from my my Kick account or my Twitch account or anything else, and they're just spammers trying to get involved and want me to be interested in what they do and everything else, and that's just not what I do. So it takes me a second just to delete them because I am a one-man band. Nikki does have access to stuff, but it's just quicker to me to do it before anyone else. So I kind of take care of it on my own. So, again, I see I have a handful of people rolling in. It's just me, so feel free to say hi. Feel free to ask questions. I am looking into. I'll give you guys some info. I don't mind sharing. I am very much. What's up, Joe? How you doing, brother? I am very much looking into taking a shamanism course. It's something that I have believe I have been drawn to since I learned about my abilities about 3 years ago. And that's kind of where I'm looking right now. I watched a masterclass yesterday by a gentleman, and it was intriguing. And I have another one I'm going to watch tomorrow to see if either one of them are the ones I feel drawn to. I watched another one last night, and I was not satisfied with it because it was more of a question and answer period than it was an actual like masterclass or discussing it. It's more of what I do. It was more of an interview with the person than what they were actually going to do for me if I decided to sign up on the course. Kathy, I see your question. Any thoughts on the golden years? Do you have anything specific you're talking about with the golden years? I'm just trying to figure out. I mean, that's a pretty broad spectrum. So I'm just kind of curious if there's anything specific you want to talk about with the golden years. Hi, Kim. How are you? I am looking at possibly doing a Qigong course as well. So I am looking to expand my horizons and expand my knowledge base. I just feel like it's time to start moving forward. Don't worry, I'm still doing the show. I love the show. But I think it's time to start growing the bag of what I do as well, along with some other things. People know me as a paranormal investigator. They know me as a psychic. They know me as a medium. They know me as an elementalist, energy pusher, stuff like that. But one of the things that kind of interests me, and Kim, you'll know this because you did this course, but I looked at the Four Winds shamanic course yesterday, and one of the things that resonated with me was the discussion of I'm trying to remember what it was called when I watched it, but it was basically helping remove sicknesses from others. And for me, I actually right now have that ability to a point where I call the John Coffey effect, to where if I get a hold of you with intent, with a hug, and there's something going on, then if I get a hold of you with the intent of you're sad, you're anxious, you're depressed, you're tired, something's going on, I have a innate ability right now to if I can get the arms around you with intention, I can attempt to pull that out of you, and I'm pretty successful at it as long as there's an intent behind it between both parties, between me and the person doing it. And it's been pretty successful for quite a few people I've come across, but that one part with that is for me, in order to do that, I have to get a hold of you. I have to put my hands on you, and that's not something that I'm able to do with everybody around the world right now. I can see you, I can't push energy to you, but I can't remove your whatever from across the world. Hi, Sylvie, how are you? So right now, like I said, hands-on, that's how I'm working. But I think if I worked into the line of shamanism, which I believe I'm really supposed to be leaning into, is that in the Qigong world. I think both of those will help me expand out and be able to do what I call the John Coffey effect worldwide without having to actually put my hands on you. So there's that thought process as well. Joe, my answer to that, so Joe's asking about something that I don't even have a word. I have seen this word, but I've still never seen how to pronounce it. So, Joe, I'm putting it up there so everyone can read it. Have I ever considered having an experience like that word? What is it? I have no clue. So, so that answers your question, Joe. I don't even know what the word means, how to pronounce it. So I don't know if I ever considered having an experience like that. So is it along the same lines of like what Native Americans do with the sweat? Is that what does it fall along those same lines? What does that word? I mean, I guess I can look it up, but right now, like I said, I'm dancing on my own. So I don't want to break away and have silence when I'm trying to look up a word that I don't have a definition of. If someone wants to throw the definition up for me into the notes, that would be fantastic, and I'll be able to say yes or no. And if it's something that I know it as something else, I just don't know it by that word that Joe brought up there. If anyone has any questions, plant medicine. See, that's much easier. Keith, how you doing, brother? I haven't looked at plant medicine completely. It's mostly, I just haven't looked at the plant medicine stuff. Mostly because of where my job won't allow stuff like that. That is not something that I am allowed to do simply because I can be randomly urinalysis tested at any time. And something like that in my system that's not supposed to be there will actually end my career in my position right now. Hi, Sydney. So, Sydney, say hi to everybody. Everybody say hi to Sydney. Sydney was someone that I worked with and was able to meet at the MegaCon out in Orlando. Actual wonderful soul. Very young, stepping into a lot of her stuff. Sorry, Sydney, I'm selling you out. Shy about it, but shouldn't be because she is amazing. So that's kind of how that's how I met Sydney. She was working for Vice Station, which is Bill Slevins, my director out at for the Paranormal Existence Research Society. That's his wife, and they were working a booth as well and doing the camera aura readings and stuff like that. And she was helping over there, so I got to meet her and say hi to her, and we had nice long discussions. And she is greater than she believes herself to be. So, Sydney, I'm selling you out. I'm telling you right now, get over that because you're pretty awesome. So, step into that ability, step into your powers. So, yep, I saw it, Joe. I see what you're saying, but yep. Someone asked me, it's funny because we had this discussion today at work. I'm very honest with my work. I'm very open with my work. They know what I do. As far as my abilities, I haven't been shy about them. And someone asked me, they're like, isn't that the one that does peyote? And I was like, well, some of them do. Yes, some of them will use medicinal herbs to help you travel to different realms, as you said, Nahir. I said, but that's not something I'm allowed to do simply because I still work for the government and I hold a lot of very high clearances. So I'm not allowed to do anything like that because we're not allowed to be in an altered state. Yep, ketamine. I saw that one. I know what that one is. But again, nothing that is not... Nothing that basically isn't prescribed by a doctor or over the counter that is not going to get me in trouble. Am I allowed to take? Just can't do it. So, it's going to be interesting if I decide to take on this, we'll just call it a journey for a better word of anything. And I decide to go to the realm of, if I decide to go the role of shamanism, which I really do believe is a calling of mine. Ever since I learned about my abilities 3 years ago. That seems to be the very first thing that's always hit me is that I am supposed to be doing shamanism work. Hi, Sandy. How are you? But again, like I said, it is just me. I do not know what happened to my guest tonight. I am assuming it was a misunderstanding of time, even though I do not know how I can make it any clearer, saying that I am 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific. For anybody who, is kind of come on my show, because that's what I do. I explain every single time zone like I do when I come on and greet everybody on the beginning of the show about what the different time zones are. So how the miscommunication happened, I don't know. but hopefully he's fine. He's not injured. He's just forgetful, or he's busy, or doesn't understand time zones. I do not wish ill will on anybody simply because they missed my show. I'll just do stuff like this to where I just come on here and blah, blah, and answer questions for people who ask me questions and tell you about my boring life and move on from there. So as I was kind of saying before everyone kind of started rolling in, is I am looking to do my first on my own type of fest or con or whatever else. We have something out here in the Nebraska area called Mystic Fest. And I had signed up for it. Whether I get a booth or not, I don't know. The person who runs it, his name is Charlie. And when I spoke with him, he said it really is based off of, he's trying to break it down to making sure that he has enough variety or different types of people that fill the vendor slots, because a lot of them are, a lot of times it's repeat. It's a lot of readers, a lot of psychics, a lot of mediums, a lot of sellers and stuff like that. And I have never seen someone out there that I'm going as two different roles. I'm going to go as a Paranormal Existence Research Society. So the free home investigation, if you feel you have something at your home or at your business, and we'll come take a look at it and help you identify what it is, if it is anything at all. And then also my show, Stuff I Never Learned. So those are the two hats I'm going to wear when I go out there. Hopefully get picked to do my first ever vendor event. And it has been encouraged to me by a couple of people to look into doing a panel. I haven't pulled the trigger on that. I haven't called them yet to say, hey, I think I should do a panel. I probably have enough interesting information, especially with the elemental side of the house, that I could do a panel strictly on that. Debbie, that's probably right. So Debbie posted, for those people who can't see it, Debbie said, maybe this show is meant to be like this for you tonight. Just a thought. And you know what? I completely believe that. This is not the first time I've had a no-show, and I don't cancel shows. I just, unless I'm sick, unless I'm traveling, I'm doing a show. And if the person doesn't show up or the people don't show up, I just do this. This is normally something I try to do once every quarter, but I don't always get to do an open mic night, is what I call them, so people can just ask questions or talk or do whatever else. I don't care. So maybe this was meant to happen tonight, because I haven't had one for a while. And people seem to be intrigued by these because they like being able to ask me questions. So there's a handful of people in here that are newer since I have done one of these. Let me enlighten you something. I am not just paranormal. So if you have questions and you are going to ask questions about paranormal, cryptid, UFO, alien, time travel, multiverse, parallel universes, anything along those lines, you can ask, and I will most likely have an answer for it in one way, shape, or form. So, Sylvie, hey, Tom, is it okay to ask a personal situation I encountered? Absolutely. If you're willing to share it with the group, I am willing to discuss it and try to help as best possible. And the good news is, since there's so many other people here that kind of do a lot of the stuff I do, if I don't have an answer and you're willing to listen to them, they might have an answer as well. Or they are more than welcome to put their 2 cents in as well. So there you go. So if you're willing to talk, we can go ahead and do that. So Sydney said that con, whatever you are trying to get a booth at, seems fun. If you get a booth, let us know. I will. Absolutely, because I'll let the team know that I'm representing the PERS team, and I have my huge banner like was on the front of our last table, and Sydney knows what I'm talking about, because we have a huge banner that's like 8 feet long. I'm actually in the process of getting my own banners made, my stand-up, my pull-up banners that have my information on them from the show. So I'm moving forward with it. I'm stepping out from just doing this. I've been doing this now for 3 years. A few investigations, a lot of readings, not on purpose, but as Sydney can probably attest to, it seemed like whenever someone came up to the booth and had questions about equipment, about whatever else, they ended up getting a reading or some kind of information because all of a sudden they'd be like, hey, can I ask you a question? And it was very interesting because I still am, but I am one of the newer members of the team as far as what the abilities go. And it was, to me, it was very, I was very honored to where how many people from my team, that when someone would come up, someone from my team would go, hold on, let me go get Tom. He can answer this question. So they'd come and get me and say, hey, can you help this person? Because I don't know this answer. But I don't think there was anybody at that time, which was nice, that I was working or that came up that I was like, I don't know that answer. I was able to listen to my spirit guides, listen to my higher selves, and they would give me information as to how to answer it to the best of my ability to help that person or those people in general at least have a starting point. And that's really all I can do. If I don't know the answer, I will not say I know the answer. I just simply say, I don't know, but I don't like that answer at all. So my answer is normally, if I don't know it, is I don't know, but if you're okay with it, I will ask somebody else who I believe does. I hate leaving people just without answers. Even if my answer is I don't know yet, but I will, then so be it. At least it gives them something to look forward to, and I believe in my ability to find people who can help find those answers, even if it's not me. So with that said, let's go and see what Sylvie says. So I have been seeing ladybugs on my bathroom sink encounter for a while. I wonder if it has some significance. I never see them out in nature, only in nature. And I've asked other spiritual readers, and they mentioned it possible it could be my spirit animal or simply a message being sent to me. The rest of that's me reading it on the side. That is exactly what I had. When you saw the ladybug, that is something that has, to me, it's a combination. It's a message from a loved one, and it's a couple of different ways. So let's discuss some of this. And now you need to understand, when I talk about things, these are what I hear, what I see, what I feel, what I'm getting from my spirit guides or from my higher self or whatever else. And some people's answers may differ than what I have out there, and that is perfectly acceptable. I'm just going to give you what the Thomism. Sorry, now I'm listening. It is a loved one that is sending you a message. Now, what that message is, I don't believe this is a message just of something of, hi, I'm here. If that was the case, this is something that, unless it's someone who's recently passed on. But I think this is more of a message of there's something that you need to start paying attention to in the near future. And I've tried sending you signs before, but you have ignored those because they weren't right in your face. They were subtle messages, and you just kind of ignored them. So I'm going to do something a little more sidestepped, and I believe I'm going to send you these messages of these little tiny bugs that's going to be in your room or in your bathroom, and you're going to be like, what the hell is going on? And so it's basically a message to you that you need to start looking for something that's going to be happening in the near future. Thank you for solidifying that. Sylvia stated, no one has died recently. So my message that I'm getting to me for you is that, no, this is simply a way that you have missed messages in the past, that someone has been enlightened to you, that you have something coming your way. It is coming from a loved one, but they're letting you know that something is about to happen in the future. And normally ladybugs are tied to good fortune. So for me, that's an identity that it is something that is good, that is coming to your near future. I would say near future because otherwise it wouldn't have been such a push to put the ladybugs right in your bathroom right now, so readily, especially, if you've been missing messages in the past and it's getting more to this person needs to understand that they need to pay attention. There's going to be an opportunity coming her way. So she needs to start paying attention to it. That's their subtleness in doing it. So that's my belief in what the ladybug representation is inside of your bathroom sink, at this point. Hi, Rosie. How are you? Just me, Rosie. No one decided to show up to talk with me, so I'm just talking to my family and basically to myself. Which is not far-fetched. I talk to myself all the time. It's just when I lose those arguments is when I need to start to worry. But Sylvia, I hope that helps. I really don't. I don't. If you want to know, so that is also true. Also to add this, I know people always say you should count the dots on the ladybugs to get the specific meaning. I'm guessing the next time I should count the dots. For this one, I don't think the dots are going to truly matter. Sometimes the dots will. That is very specific to different cultures, and that have just been picked up by Western culture, but it was not a Western culture thing initially. And that has just been brought over to the Western cultures. But for the original culture it came from, it really was tied to the dots meant something all the time. Like 3 dots always meant this one thing. 5 dots always meant this one thing in their culture. In ours, counting the dots will represent some things, but we have bastardized it so much that the meanings in the Western culture does not mean what it used to mean originally. But again, I hope that helps as far as why you're seeing the ladybugs. I would tell you definitely to start keeping an eye out. I think this is a big throw to your face, and then now it's going to go back to subtle messages. It said, I did my job. I threw you a big message. Now you need to start paying attention to what's happening around you, and don't be obtuse about it. That's the nicest way I can say it that I'm getting in my head. Sometimes they tell me in nice, sweet, loving words, and sometimes they're just straight to the point and say, pull head out of ass, wipe off eyes, you're missing a good game. And that's kind of what one of those were. And yep, I did that. So let me throw that up here now that I have that up there, because that's the way the conversation went. But that's kind of where it went for me. Yes, and Nikki is correct, Rosie. The whole night is squirrel moment night. It's literally just me talking to you, which is fantastic. I love doing this. I like doing this a lot of times more than I do talking to my guests, even though I love my guests. But I really like just sitting and talking to you all because I don't get the chance to do that outside of this. And I really don't mind doing informational readings or information, just period, or anything else, or just talking about what I have coming up so you all know what's going on outside of just my show. I really do consider you all my family, so I don't mind sharing family stuff. I just don't. I'm comfortable with you all, and I'm not a shy, quiet person. I am very much an introvert, despite what I sound like on here. But this is my chance to get to talk to you and kind of fill you in on everything that's going on and everything else. So if you have questions, please feel free to ask. I don't like doing open mic nights without having information for people. And don't ever, thank you, Sandy. I appreciate that too, because she says these shows are the best. But I'd never want you to think that the question is too small, or it's too strange, or it doesn't matter, because everything matters. I don't care how small it is. It may be huge to you, but you think it's going to be small to us. But it's not. We're definitely a family, so we're definitely here to help each other. So if there's questions, ask. I will share with you. Like I said, I don't mind sharing with you at all. Sorry, I'm kind of reading one of the replies that's going on from Nikki. Oh, so let me tell you how kind of things set up in the beginning, or in the front of this. So Sydney says, you're an introvert. I would have never guessed based on talking to you at MegaCon. Absolutely, Sydney. I am a huge introvert. I did the show to force myself to be put in the public eye like this. Nikki knows, my own wife knows, that if you would drop me off on an island in the middle of the water and left me alone for the rest of my life, fantastic. I would be all on board. I mean, that is me. I don't mind talking, but the other part that we have discussed, and some of you don't know this on here because you're new to me, is that even though I'm an introvert, I identify as what I call a chameleon. I can fit very well into any conversation. It is really nice to be comfortable enough to and knowledgeable enough to talk about different things. And I will tell you, a lot of the times when I have information and I hear a lot of the things, I don't study them. It's either because I have learned them in a past life. My spirit guides are in my ear and telling me, stop doubting yourself, shut up and start talking because you know what you're doing. Or it's just along the lines that I am absolutely, definitely 100% a nerd, and I have studied something, but I also have an eidetic memory. So if I've read it, it's been put away in my database somewhere in my brain, and it just comes to light, even though I could have read it 50 years ago. It's just the way it is. That's how a lot of my knowledge comes to me in a nutshell. So I will tell you, Nikki says I am the best extroverted introvert. Yes, very true. When I have a guest on the show, beforehand, behind the scenes, what happens, and I'll give you all this information, that way in case any of you decide to come on at some point, you'll know what to expect. I normally ask the person to come on at least 10 minutes early so we can do an audio and video check. So we make sure everything works and y'all can hear the voices of those that are coming on. And I explain to them, none of my information, none of my show is canned responses or canned questions except for the very first one. And it is simply the normal question I ask in some way, shape, or form. It always changes, but who are you? What do you do? And how long have you been doing it? And it's designed that way simply because I want to be just as surprised as all of you are when that person gives an answer, because it leads me to ask different questions. And I believe that if everything is scripted, to me, it's very boring. I am not built like that. And it does not let me ask what I'm supposed to ask. I really believe that it's very informal for a reason. And it's because I get to get the chance to ask the questions that others wouldn't. And I am introverted, but I'm not a shy, quiet person. So I will ask those questions. I'm very blunt. I'm very straightforward. I'm very honest. Anyone who has met me will tell you that. I don't sugarcoat a whole lot unless there's a reason for it. Okay. Sorry, got sidetracked. Rosie kicked in, and basically she said, shut up, stop talking about yourself. I have a question. Rosie says, hey, I have a question. My son lost his two best friends back in October, and I found a gray-black feather next to his house, and I think it was for him from them. No, it was not. A beautiful thought for your son, but if that feather was meant for him, he would have been the one to find it. You found it. Now, why did you find it? Do me a favor. When you found it, did you present it to him? Did you make this proclamation to him that I believe this feather I found next to your house was meant for you from your two friends that you lost back in October? Did you bring up the conversation? Did you spark this up for a reason by presenting this gray-black feather to your son? And I'm asking that for a specific reason, because that feather was meant for you to find. Again, things are not coincidental. You were meant to find it for a reason. So that's why I'm asking, did any further conversation come up with your son about that gray-black feather being found next to his house? So that's, again, this is kind of how it works in my head. Sorry, folks, but you're along for the ride. So Nikki is also chiming in. which, by the way, I read the other day, a list of abilities, and one of them listed on there was eidetic memory or photographic memory. So I have had this ability my whole life. Yes. I did not realize it was I did not know that having an eidetic memory was a list of abilities, but apparently it was, or it is, and I've had that my entire life. So we've kind of figured out that maybe I have had abilities. They just haven't presented themselves to me until just very recently, but I can look back on my life to things that have happened that we believe may have been tied to my abilities. And a discussion about who has been holding my abilities back is my father, simply because it wasn't my time to open yet. There was too much going on in my life that we believe was going to interrupt, or that would have altered how I would have done certain things had I had the abilities way back when I was supposed to be a very large, angry, deadly person. Maybe it wouldn't have gone that way. But now I'm just still a very large, angry, deadly person, but I don't do that stuff for a living anymore. So now it's time to switch over. Rosie, back to this. I took a picture of it and showed him, and yes, I did tell him about it. He was having a bad day with the memories of all of them. So is this a time when you showed him the picture of the feather and you talked about it? Or was it an end of discussion? You saw the feather. You took a picture of it. You showed it to him because he was having a bad day with the memories of it. Is this a time when you showed him the picture? He was having a bad day with it all, and you two actually sat and talked about them. It stopped him from holding everything in, and it was a release for him to start talking about it and to share the fact that I'm having issues with this. I'm having problems with this. I miss them. They were family to me. I miss them very much. I'm having a hard time with this. So your answer is yes, I see that. So him finding the feather on his own would have done absolutely nothing. He would not have known that this was possibly because of his two friends he lost. But by you finding it, taking the picture, bringing it to him, talking to him about it, it opened up a discussion. And it helped him release. It also tied in, and I just read that message, so that's fantastic. But it also gave him an understanding that it doesn't take a feather for him to have to come talk to you about this. He can just come talk to you about this. You can bring it up to him without having to have a trigger object to do it. It's something that you needed to find to help him get better, not him find, because he would have never brought it up. I don't think if he would have found it, he would have said, "Hey, Mom, I found this feather, and I think it ties to my two friends." I think you had to find it and then bring it to him and say, "Hey, I think this is supposed to be for you." And for those people who can't see, so just the way the notes work, on my chat, if you're on Facebook, you can't see what's being said in YouTube or on Twitch, and vice versa for all of them, so you can only see what's coming up. So Rosie does respond with, "One of the few times he hugged me and cried since he became an adult." So yes, it was absolutely meant for you to find it, to help him release that sadness, that negative energy. But now he also knows he has an outlet to turn to without having to find a feather. So I hope that helps. Thank you. And no, he wouldn't have found it and said anything. Right. See? So that was absolutely 100% meant for you to find. Laura, hello, Miss Laura. How are you? Big hugs back to you. Much love. Heading into work. So people always see Laura pop in very quickly and then leave. Laura and I have apparently known each other for, oh my God, years. Decade years. I grew up with one of her siblings going to my school and stuff like that. So we've been attached for quite some time, and then we happened to find each other perusing Facebook and stumbled across each other and started talking about, "Hey, wait a second, I'm from there, you're from there," and everything else. So we kind of had that discussion to where oh, we actually knew the same people and everything else. So then we just kind of connected back up. We've always said hi and checked on each other now and then. So I appreciate her checking in when I do my shows, at least just to say hi before she runs off to work. So much love, Laura. Have a great day at work, since it is your day that's starting. And I hope you have a wonderful week. So, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Work overnights, 2 jobs. Yep. So that's where a lot of it happens. So that's, and for people who are wondering, this is her tag, on the gaming world. So, I realized she was also a gamer. She does a lot, over there as well. So, so yes, that's what else I know her as well. So, oh, all right, we're going to bring this up. Rosie, so how true is this conspiracy theory that the tablets of Moses is in the Sphinx of Egypt? Now, let's have this discussion, because, oh boy, this is going to be a good one. Not a conspiracy theory, but not the tablets of Moses. Again, big nerd. I can talk about this stuff freely and comfortably. People don't always understand that the Western or just biblical stuff that's in there is not original at all in any way, shape, or form. The discussion about, let's say, Noah and the Ark, for instance, actually has its own story 1,000 years earlier, in Egyptian culture. And the story of Noah and the Ark actually spans over 9 different religious paths over 7,000 years in the past. So Noah and the Ark is not original to the Bible. It's original to the Bible, but it's not an original story. Just like the tablets of Moses being found in the Sphinx of Egypt. No, there are also stories of tablets from Isis and Osiris in Egypt, being given to Ramesses I, the very first quote unquote Pharaoh god of Egypt, and how he was supposed to run Egypt under a certain set of laws in order to identify him as a god under the other gods of Egypt. So I think there's a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of just a lot of people that want to create more than there actually is. So these stories get thrown around every so often. That this is a conspiracy theory, that this is happening, and because the conspiracy theory from way back when I brought up the Noah fact was that they believed they found the Ark in Egypt, and not up in the mountains where they actually found what they believe is the actual Ark. So there's a lot of different understandings of what is true and what is just something to get the crowd going, something new to kind of turn the public eye to something cool and exciting. But I do not believe this at all to be a conspiracy theory. I think it's just a misunderstanding of what the actual historical truth is of people. They're basically intermingling 2 stories, even though one is much older than the other. Guess what? Birth to Christ is not original in any way, shape, or form. It's in the Bible, so it's new there, but past cultures and past religions have all had something along those same lines of someone who is the one that is to lead the people, save the people from their sins or from purgatory or from whatever. And it's not new. So I hope that helps answer your question a little bit as far as how I see it. But that's literally because you did that to me. You brought the nerd out of me to talk about historical actual facts, and not just a new conspiracy theory that is coming out because someone wanted something else to talk about. And yes, Zhang, I know this. Zhang states that she really likes to hear about Egypt and prophets, and that is simply because in a past life, that is where she was. It very much ties to her because it is a past life. And I can tell you, Zhang, that it is not a single past life. You have lived that past life in Egyptian times as different people. One is a man 2 or 3 different times, which is what your tie is with Egypt. Wow, that was literally just told to me as I was reading that to you. So that's sometimes how this works. But yes, so that's her tie to Egypt and the prophets. I had that huge discussion a while ago about the prophets and all the different prophets, and I talked about I talked about angels and dragons, how they're actually equal to each other. They're the same things, just brought down through different religions. So there's a lot of stuff that I talk about, maybe not just on here, but if I haven't talked about it on here, I've talked about it somewhere else. I know, Nikki, right? She says, where did that come from? You're reading past lives now? Damn. It just popped in. She put that up there, and I instantly saw what it was. She was a man once, and she was a woman 2 other times in Egypt. I don't know where that just came from. Hello, welcome to my world. We'll see if that's something that develops itself. And that's something I'm going to be able to start doing now. I don't know, or if it was just a one and done type thing because it's a Zhang and our relationship with each other. Don't know. So what else do y'all want to know? Like I said, this is you're kind of in my comfort zone right now of me just talking about everything and anything. For those who don't know, over this shoulder, that picture that my finger is on right there, and the other one that is right there, they're both signed Superman pictures that I got when I was at Orlando Comic-Con. And there's another one right up here. It's a little tin. And then at the very top, way up here, is the 1000th episode of the Superman series comic books that I was given. We went out there, and I was able to I was able to meet the illustrators of the comic books, of all the different types of Superman comic books. You can't tell by the wall behind me. Huge Superman fan. And they were nice enough to talk with me and sign stuff for me. It was really amazing for me to get to meet all them. Rosie, talking about past lives. How do you know how many years we lived? I don't. I cannot tell you how old a Zhang was when her first Egyptian life ended. But I can tell you that her first life was a man. Okay. Just never mind the question. So, Zhang, here we go. I'm confused when people say that Nefertiti, Ramses, and others are alien. Now, what I just said earlier is that Isis, Osiris, all the actual gods of Egypt spoke with Nefertiti, Ramses the god, all these different types of people. So they were understood as gods. Could they have been aliens? I don't. Sorry, I'm listening. I don't doubt it, but if they are, they were put here by the people like the other Egyptian gods, which to me very well could be alien. The abilities they had to do things that we can't even replicate today, thousands of years ago, mystifies me and puts me in awe. It's fantastic. That they could be so precise with everything they did down to the centimeter on measurements for the sky and measurements for building pyramids and learning. So understand that Romans were not the first one to learn how to build aqueducts. It was actually the Egyptians for water sources and everything else. Romans just perfected it. So there's a lot of things in there that they could have been recognized. To me, they were referred to as gods. Nefertiti was referred to as a goddess. Ramses the first and the second were recognized as gods to the people. The sun rose and set around them. And I believe a lot of that was simply something along the lines of either they are demigods that were put here by the gods, or simply because they were able to talk to the gods or the aliens, they were seen as aliens themselves. That's the best I can see with that. But it is one of those two. I just can't focus in to see which one is the truth. If they are gods themselves, just lesser gods, or if they were just referred to as, or because of their alien attachments, or because they talked to aliens that people were calling gods, so they were seen as alien themselves. I hope that helps. So that's Nikki talking to Rosie, saying, I had a reading and I was told that my soul is 2,169 years old. So yes, that ties into when I came across the Earth Elemental that ran from me, and it told me that my essence was older than it was. And when I asked it how old it was, it told me that it was 15,000 years old. So that means the essence of me had to be older than 15,000 years old. That was, and then it threw rocks at me, which was kind of interesting. But yeah, that kind of set me back too, because that was earlier in my abilities to be told that I'm an old man. So it explains the gray quite a bit. But to be told that your essence is older than 15,000 years old will make you stop and think for a second. Kind of puts you back in an early man time frame. But I do not believe that my essence of 15,000 years ago was of my human form. I think it was one of my starseed forms. I think my energy is unbelievably old, as a lot of ours is. Mine was just identified by an earth elemental. Rosie, I believe that the fictional movies are somewhat real. How else do we get the story? So this can start way back in the beginning of our conversation, where we talked about drugs. Some people can see it. I have no clue how the Beatles wrote half of their songs, but simply because they were on drugs, they were able to write some of the most amazing music that is the most far-fetched out there that there ever has been. Pink Floyd's the same way. Certain types of music is brought on by what they see when they were doing the drugs. I think the movies could have came about the same way. Or I think stories may have been fed to them that may have been at least partially nonfiction, and then they wrote the story around it. For instance, give me a second. I got to remember the name of the movie. Oh, come on, people. Mel Gibson's in it. He's a preacher. He ends up turning away from a priest, and he turns away from the priesthood when he loses his wife. Signs. I believe it's Signs. I believe that story is created out of a partial fact. Somewhere in the story, someone had a meeting or a abduction or something along the lines of an alien, and the alien race was not completely friendly towards thanks Ingrid and Rosie, but towards the earth. But nuclear abilities that we hold right now kind of keep some of them at bay. So I believe this is where some of the fictional stories get written, is from some of that stuff. Yes. Rosie, my go-to is Aquaman and the Gods of Egypt. Absolutely. Those are great storylines for fiction that could have been from our past. Both of them absolutely could be from our past. You're talking Atlantis in one of them, and of course you're talking Egyptian gods in the other. It's the same thing with anything that you see from perhaps any of the Greek god movies, anything from that storyline, or the Viking Norse gods, or any of those are fiction, written as fiction, but I believe there's a truth to them from somewhere. Let me go back up because Keith responded with something. Aliens. Some theorize there are actually advanced races that live here on Earth. I believe that. I believe that there is very much a possibility, because also understand this. Adam and Eve, the way it's looked at in a negative light, is a very westernized story. That is not how it is in all the cultures, all right? Their shame came from, it was a Western thing, not a realization of abilities when the apple was bitten from the bite of knowledge, okay? So, you're having me go back and do that whole history lesson again. So some theorize, you're right, that advanced races lived here on Earth and left it for us to be in good hands with us. And humans fucked it up. No better way to say that. We are not the peaceful race that I believe that we were looking at while we were supposed to be. I think we screwed it up. And I think this is why we have not heard back readily if there is alien races out there that showed us in earlier times, like Egyptian times and everything else, how to use the tools that we were given. I think the tools were taken away from us, and I think the knowledge was erased from us, which is why we do what we do now, and all we do is fight and make war. Because we don't know any other way. Right now, greediness wins. So that's my soapbox. Don't get me on that. That's a whole different story with me. So yes, I do believe that is something that is very well one of the many possibilities of how we gained Earth. Rosie says, I had a rancher that found shark teeth up on the sandhills, so those have to have been very old. Yes, absolutely. Understand that we are in our third. You people are really making me go historic tonight. We are in our third major climate rotation. Right now, scientists are calling it climate change. Okay? And they keep discussing how what we are doing to the Earth right now is bringing the end of the Earth, and over the last 100 years, we have done so much damage to the Earth, and it's going to end life as we know it. False. Yes, the third cycle. That's exactly it. We're on our third cycle of a rotation of an Earth, of a climate cycle. So understand that the two that happened before this, they took thousands of years for this to happen. Us having stuff up in the atmosphere right now is not going to make stuff happen in a year. The melting of the ice caps and everything else, that's part of a rotation. You'll notice that our poles are flipping. They're not lined up exactly north and south pole. They're actually rotating. And right now, our north pole is kind of lined up in the Russian region. So our south pole is also rotating up. So they flip. They do this. There's the fact that the shark tooth was found up in your sandhills can simply be because it was something from one of the past cycle flips that happens. This one that we're going through now, stuff like this is going to happen. It's happened in the past. But the problem is we have not had that recorded scientific research that everyone talks about for longer than 100 years. And if you look at some of the places that in the United States, which drives me nuts, that said, oh, well, this is the hottest we've ever seen it since we've been recording temperature here. Well, yeah, if you pay attention to some of those places, they've been recording temperatures for 10 to 18 years. Congratulations. Hi, Jerica, how are you? So great, but you haven't been recording it since the beginning of recording time. So people freak out over some things that are taking place that they should not. This actual climate cycle will not end for another 10,000 years. It's just the way it works. But during that process, things like polar caps melting, winter's getting colder, but maybe shorter, or not as much snow as we're used to, and summer's getting hotter. That's part of a climate process. That's part of this cycle we're going through. It's not a climate change that they cry about that said we need to correct ourselves or in 30 years we're going to die. No, it's even if we stop doing absolutely everything altogether, it's going to still go through this motion and change. It's something we have no control over. Now, can we do better as far as helping the environment and making sure we're not killing out all the species? Because since the last cycle, during the last cycle, we actually lost 99% of the actual living species that were on the planet. So everything that we see now is literally only 1% of the species that actually used to live on this planet before the last cycle happened, before the last rotation happened and wiped out 99% of the population of other creatures. Yes, and Rosie says, well, I noticed that the moon has shifted, or I do not see the same side. Looks like it's turned upside a little bit. The moon looks like it's getting closer at times. It does look like it's having a small rotation. That is because our poles are moving. So therefore, it kind of sets it off a little bit too. It still rotates on the same axis, but our axis has changed. So it does look like it's a little wonky. And Rosie, yeah, example, this winter, exactly. Hi, Jerica. She's like, wow, this is crazy to think about. Welcome to the conversations I hold when I do a open mic night. So for people who don't know Erica, say hi to Jerica. Say hi to Jerica. Jerica is one who I met here in Omaha, and she was in my Enlightenment Academy when I took the Enlightenment Academy here with Kelly Miller. We were in the same class together, and Jerica is absolutely fantastic. She's another one that has these fantastic abilities, but she's a little self-conscious about them. Stop doing that, Jerica. Start stepping into them because you're fantastic and you know more than you're letting on or that you're actually doing. So there's my 2 cents worth. Sorry. Kathy, are the solar flares related to this? Yes. We do have issues with the solar flares. There's been an increase in solar flares. They seem like they're getting stronger. And that is twofold. That is because the sun is just simply getting older. It's not going to perish anytime during our lifetime. It's going to last for another billions upon billions of years. So it's not like it's going to go out while we're here. But the solar flares, because of the way we shifted, our polar magnetism shifted, which draws them in more. So we have more of them, so they're going to start affecting some of our stuff more. Until it actually has a complete rotation to where the poles set themselves back, we will continue to see these random things that they're going to say chalk it up to climate change because we're ruining the earth over the last 30 years. And if we don't stop now, the earth's going to end. No, that's not how this works. At some point, people will understand that Mother Nature rules. We have very little bearing on what Mother Nature does. We have a very small footprint on what Mother Nature does because when we kill it, when we take out life force, cutting down trees, doing all this wonderful stuff, then we are hurting Mother Nature. But when Mother Nature gets mad enough, as you see from fires, as you see from hurricanes, as you see from all these other wonderful things that happen in nature, naturally, she'll get mad enough and she'll take it back. And she'll be like, look, I warned you once before. I'm done warning you. Now I'm just going to go ahead and do it on my own. You don't want to do it. I'm gonna take care of it for you. So yes, yeah, Helen, fantastic. I'm glad you're preaching the same thing for the climate change. People want to see, hear, and be afraid of what they're hearing, and a lot of the climate activists use this to their benefit to scare others. Okay. That's simply what they're using as a tactic, but that's no difference than religions using their religious beliefs as their tactics or anything else along those lines. It's a tactic to get people to be on your side, because people are narcissistic by nature. Someone wants to be in charge and say, "Look at me, I'm the greatest because I know it all." Kind of like I'm doing tonight. But I am not doing it in a narcissistic way, I hope. But those are the people who want to have the recognition for being the expert and being the one that bees follow, and they get all the notoriety and get all the glory and get all the financial gain and backing for it and everything else to help push their projects forward. That's how life works, but that's not how nature works. At some point, nature will just step in and go, that's not happening. I explained to somebody simply the fact that I have someone who was attempting to build a new home. I don't even know if my wife knows the story, but I had someone who was attempting to build a new home, and they were saying, "Hey, I've been trying to build a new house, and 3 times my foundation is cracked. What the hell is going on?" And I simply said, "You're pissing off the earth elemental because you're jacking up its ground, and you haven't identified that you are doing it any good. You're just doing a bad job of trying to put concrete over ground." And they said, "What do I do? How do I fix this? First off, how do you know this? Second off, how do I fix this?" So I explained it to them. I had to kind of reach out and do a little talking with this wonderful earth elemental who was pissed because it is a very old piece of ground. After discussing with the elemental made an agreement. Somehow I have a wonderful ability to compromise with elementals. Don't know how, but it happens. So I enlightened the person. The elemental has stated you can pour a foundation. But before you build your home on that house, before anything else goes up, after you pour that foundation, you need to put in the trees, the bushes, the plants, everything else on your property that you were going to do later. You have to do it first. So it understands that you are helping the natural part of where it's at, and you're not just going to destroy nature and not replenish it. If you do that, it will allow you to build a foundation. If you do not, it will crack your foundation again. So when they poured the next foundation, it has not cracked. And him and his wife had planted all the trees and shrubs they were going to. They're still holding off on some of the smaller, like the annuals and the perennials, the smaller stuff like that. But the large hedge they were going to plant and the trees they were going to plant had been planted, and that foundation hasn't cracked. And they said they started building on the house. So, like I said, nature will do what it needs to do when it's ready to do it. So that's kind of how that works. We think we have all the power, but we're just deceiving ourselves. Hello, Uilani Ku'ule. No problem on being late. You hopefully you'll go back and watch this crazy ass show I've been doing for the last hour. It has been open mic night because my guest didn't show up. So it's just been kind of me blabbing, doing a lot of blah blah. So and hopefully people are learning from it because I'm really enjoying doing this. I really like doing these. Rosie says there's a tree and the roots are coming up on part of the driveway. And speaking of the elemental, I don't want to cut the root to pour concrete again. You can. When you cut that root, you're not going to kill that tree. there's enough root system under that tree that cutting the root out to pour the concrete again will not kill that tree. You are fine. You are fine pouring that concrete for that drive. And especially around your place. Oh my goodness, your place has a lot of nature around it, so it's okay if you have to do what you need to do to live there, simply because it understands that you are a person of nature. It already understands that. You have proven that again and again at your location. I have not seen your home, but I can see your home, if that makes any sense. And I know what your surrounding areas are. I know what it looks like outside of your home. Not because I'm a creeper and I've looked inside your windows and said, hey, this looks really different from the inside. No, that's not what I do. I just simply know how I work. I can see it. So you can go ahead and take care of that driveway with that tree. You'll be fine. In fact, stand by. If you needed to take that tree down to correct that section, you can. It understands stuff just needs to happen, but there's enough around there's enough nature and forestry and everything else around your property that it understands it would rather have you there to take care of that one part of your driveway and sacrifice one tree rather than have someone else move into there and take it all out. So it understands the sacrifice that needs to be made. So, where am I? Jericho, what about old home foundations? Is the spiritual stuff to that? Not always. Sometimes the ground just settles weird when they poured the foundation. The ground settled wrong. It didn't go up and down. It's just the way it works in older homes. Sorry, I just read Sydney's message really quick too. So no, your home foundation cracking is not spiritual. It's just older. And it's just the ground finally settling in. So many winters. I don't care how far down that basement is. So many winters, after so long, the ground is going to crack. The dirt and everything underneath it. We say a home settles after so many years. That's a lie. It will continue to move if it wasn't set correctly. Even if it was 100 years ago, it can crack. So don't look at that as spiritual. It's not. Your home is very comfortable. It's a very loving home. Your husband's a farmer. It understands the land that he's working, that you're working. It understands that you are good for the earth. So it's not going to jack up your old home simply because it's just old. So don't worry about that. Where am I? Ulani, I love your open mic. Sorry about the guest. You know what? It's the guest loss. I'm not stressing over it. I don't get hurt by this. It just gives me an opportunity to do things like this. I never look at a guest not coming on as a negative thing. It's just a different way for me to look at things, or to present things. So I could have been talking to my guest tonight about all kinds of paranormal stuff. But instead we kind of went 9 different ways of squirrel moments. So that's good too. Roseanne, stay out of my head. I was going to say creepy. Yep. Welcome to Nikki's world as well, because I say a lot of things and she says that stay out of my head quite a lot. Sydney, do you have any books for me to listen to help open up my spiritual world? I'm getting the one Michelle recommended to me tonight to start listening to tomorrow. I do not. Unfortunately, everything that I have, I would say 99% of the stuff that has opened up my spiritual world has literally been me. I have had some guidance on some things, but it has been 99% me just really, I don't want to say tuning into my spirit guys. Now, you guys need to understand, a lot of you people know this already, but there's a lot of people here that don't. I am absolutely self-proclaimed lazy. I do not meditate. I do not study. Jericho will understand this. My book from Enlightenment Academy, that big old binder we got, I have not opened it since I came home. It is literally still sitting on the footboard of my bed. But luckily for me, when I need information or I'm wanting information, it comes to me. It's just the way it is, and I really do chalk that up to the fact that, with the understanding from myself and from so many other people, that it is because I've lived so many different lives in this type of format. I've always been a shaman. I've always been a teacher. I've always been a healer. I've always done something in the past has tied me to a spiritual side, that I think that just my past lives alone has allowed me to learn all my spiritual stuff on my own, even though I'm lazy. Now, does that mean I'm happy being lazy? Absolutely. But does that mean I'm not going to try to grow? No. Like I said, I'm looking at it possibly going into shamanism. I believe that Qigong is absolutely a way I need to go forward. And that's me personally wanting to grow myself, but I don't think it's something I need to do. It's something I want to do. So I'm sorry, I'm reading other stuff as well. So let's see. So Sydney, I don't unfortunately have any books. Now, other people on here could absolutely recommend books. Kim is someone I would trust to recommend books for you. She used to work in a location where they sold a lot of books and stuff like that, and it was a place called Next Millennium, Crystal World, everything else and stuff like that. And she has a lot of knowledge as well. So she would be one that I would trust. There's other people on here as well. I mean, there's a lot of people on here that I would trust to ask that information to, not just me. So, family, if you have anything that you would recommend Sydney to listen to as far as an audiobook or anything else, please feel free to put it in the comments. So she knows what to go look for. Even if it's not the book specific, but you have authors, feel free to share that, because Sydney is absolutely one that has fantastic abilities. She just needs assistance in traversing to where to go. So, Rosie, let me move this one. Oh, damn, you have to do more of these. I love to hear these stories and advice. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Uilani, what about certain people come to visit? Is it the same like polluting the ground? So, are you talking about when people come to visit your home and they are in your living space, outside, everything else, stuff like that? Is that what we're talking about when you say when certain people come to visit? I'm asking for a specific reason. Are you talking specific to like individuals like us when we have people at our homes and stuff like that? Or are you talking like people who should not be in certain locations? I don't have a nice way to say this. I just don't. People who are evil. Are you like? What are you talking about? Is it specific to like family members coming that just have a bad juju, bad karma, bad vibe, or are you talking just pure ugliness and evil type of thing that come around and visit or on your areas? Have I heard of the new Earth and the new human? Yes. Yes. We'll do that one on another show, Kim. You and I will discuss that on another show. I don't want to do that one right now. I'm being told don't talk about it right now. So no. Rosie, I should write a book. Maybe. It has molded my head recently that maybe I should. But my point about that is, what do I write a book about? I see Sydney's comments. Can you write a book then, please, with tips and tricks? my problem is I don't fully know tips and tricks because I'm so lazy. I don't practice things. So I'm a lousy person to write a book for tips and tricks. But I really, if I wrote a book, Rosie, you know what my book would be about. My first book will probably be generated on elementals, all the way back to the beginning of time, to where we had our first world, before gods and everything else, even when elementals existed back then, who were designed by the first creator. And that's how elementals came to be in the environmental world. So if my book is going to be anything first, it's going to be on elementals, if I wrote one. So we'll see. To be continued. Jerica says, that was a big book of stuff. I have looked at it once or twice, but right? Me too. I know that if I need to refer to it, I can, and it would be nice. Rosie, tell me I'm going to move up in my job. I know it's me and my decision. It really is you. I can tell you yes, but out of spite, you can say no. But it is absolutely your decision, and I know that what you are weighing on is, even though it is a move up, is it a better move? Is the role that you are going to be put in allow you to be as happy as you are in the role you are now? Is the grass greener on the other side? So I know that's the fight you're having right now with what you're going to do. Look inward, sit with it, listen to you and your spirit guides. Don't ask my opinion on this, because opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one and they all stink. So this really is within you to do yourself. But I appreciate the ask. And let me know what you decide, because I kind of know what you're going to do. But I'm curious to see which way you go. So this is replying to Sydney, but I'm going to read to everybody in case everyone can't see it. Replying to Sydney, just a thought. There's a website called Udemy. There is a class called How to Be a Psychic Development for Beginners. I haven't finished it because I stopped while I was going through cancer treatment. There are many other classes too, and if they aren't on sale under $20, wait for them to go on sale. Absolutely. Nikki, is this the one that RL Foster did, the How to Become a Psychic Development for Beginners? Because I believe we had a friend of ours who was on my show, and she actually did a book like this as well, and I believe she put it out for like $19. But it's a great access point to go to. They have all kinds of different courses out there that you can take just like this, and it's a self-paced, read on your own type of thing. And they're really inexpensive, but they're very informative. So thanks, hon. Appreciate that. Jerica, what's it mean when one kid is a hard sleeper and one is a light sleeper? It means one is going to be a protector. One is going to be very much one is already aware. It's a better way to put that. This is my problem. Is when I sleep, I don't, because I am very much a protector. I protect those who are around me to make sure they are safe while they sleep. Even if they are babies, this can develop. Remember, they have signed their Akashic records. They know what they're getting in for. This could start at birth. This could start before birth. They can be the ones that are active inside of your tummy. So it really is that. I mean, that's what I'm seeing. It just simply means that one is more aware already. That's going to be the protective one. That's going to be the one that's aware of everything that goes on around. While the other one is pretty much going to be the laid back, more. I don't want to say less rambunctious, but will observe the world through the. They're going to look at it through different lenses. One's going to be more aware of what's going on around than the other one will. Kim says, yes, there are lots I could recommend depending on what it is you want to learn. So there you go, Sydney. Absolutely. Kim is right on point there. What do you want to learn? They do that. So William says, do they have lots of pictures? William, yes, because I was able to understand them. So they have lots and lots of pictures. If I can understand them, anyone can. Kim is saying also, I'm getting recommend The Law of One by Elkins Rupert McCarthy. So yes, The Law of One. I actually know that one. Haven't read it, but I know it. And again, I'm going to kind of skip over those because there's just people replying to Sydney with different ones. So Sydney, I hope you're seeing those. Nighthawk says you can put it above your door frame to clear negative energy. What am I putting above my door frame? So I'm trying to see what that goes back to, because I must have missed something in that discussion. Uilani, yes, my home, the property, and any friends that may be toxic, but we can't help it. So know that your property will cleanse itself. It understands that family, friends, even if they're toxic, they're not going to affect your property. It just won't. Elementals understand that your property, people are going to come by, people are going to do things. Now, if you have people coming by your property that are your friends and your family, and they're trying to destroy your home, and they're trying to destroy your property, and they're trying to rip up the earth and everything else, well, then yes, they're going to get a swift kick in the butt. Maybe not at that location, but when they move on, because I don't care what you do, you don't mess with earth. Period. End of discussion. Dot. Nothing left. But if they're at your home, and I mean, I'm from a household of drug users and abusers and stuff like that. I wasn't one of them, but my house was. But our house was not penalized because of the family. It understood that we lived in a location that we took care of the land, even though the family was not well for each other. So don't worry about your land if they come there. Just, it's your family, it's your friends. That's what's going to happen. I mean, what are you going to do when me and Nikki come out there? I mean, really? I mean, how bad is that going to be for your property when I'm on there? We'll see what happens then. Yep, absolutely, Kim. She says, our universe is benign. Evil exists in the heart of man. Yep. Does not evil? No, we brought that up amongst ourselves. That's the way it works. Rosie, can you keep people away from your home, or is it just bad energy that someone or something is keeping them away? It could be both. It could literally be your vibration in the house, outside on your property, that people don't want to engage in that process or in that energy field, or anything along those lines. Could it be an elemental? Absolutely. It could be it can be an over anxiousness, or just a feeling they get on the property, that when they come on your property, they can't wait to leave, because the energy is so great that it overwhelms them. They don't know what it's from. They just know that it's hard for them to be there longer than so long, or they don't show up because they know when they get there, the energy is going to mess with them. Could that be your energy? Absolutely. If you don't have a welcoming energy for those people, they're not going to want to come to that place. If an elemental knows that person could be bad, it may make itself gregarious and push out all that energy, which overwhelms a lot of people and makes people feel very anxious and have anxiety attacks and stuff like that. Or they just don't like the energy because it's a very clean energy, and it may just keep them away. Kim's still recommending some books. Rosie's telling me just keep on my podcast. Shh. Let's see. Helen, the last 3 times I stayed in this one hotel, one of the dresser drawers is randomly open on its own. Each time is a different room. Coincidence? Nope. It is not. This is definitely something that this is definitely a prankster family member. It does not matter where you go. what room it's in, anything else. This is someone just messing with you when you're at the hotel room. It is a person that you actually got along with very well, a loved one that was a prankster that pulled pranks and everything else. And this is simply just someone that lets you know that they're with you and protecting you when you travel. And that's just their way of showing it, is to have a little fun with you. So let's see. That's a response to that. Sorry, I'm scrolling down. That's another one for a book. So Rosie says, I fall asleep hard and can awake with a soft sound. That is me. So understand that when I fall asleep when Nikki's still awake. When she settles down, because I'll fall asleep fast. I fall asleep early. I fall asleep 9:30 o'clock at night. She'll lay in bed till about 10:30, 11 o'clock. And then she starts to settle down. Excuse me a second. And then she starts to settle down and get ready for sleep, and that's when I start to awake. And that's when my very light sleeping happens. When I look at my watch, it tells me that I had like a half an hour of heavy sleep and 4 hours or 3 hours of very light sleep. That's just how I am, because she's sleeping at that time. It is my job to protect her, which she talked about in the very next comment when she says he's talking about me. He doesn't sleep because he's protecting me. Insert eye roll. Are we moving from the third dimension to the fifth? Not everybody is. So I think everyone knows the 12 dimensions. Does everyone know there's 12 dimensions? There's not. There's 13. Yes, there are 13. Because I heard someone go, really? 13? Yes, 13. There are 13 dimensions. Right now, a handful of us are moving from the third to the fifth. Others are stuck in the third dimension. They are not playing along with others. They're not following along because they are not willing to move forward. Fine. Don't care. That's on you. I am not going to discourage them if they ask for my help, but it is not my job to handhold them and walk them through the next step if they have no inkling on doing it. So yes, we are moving into a fifth dimension. It will be something that a lot of us recognize. But 70 to 80% of the people when it happens will not recognize the shift. It's just the way it's going to be. Jerica, makes sense. So this is back to her kids. Yeah, it makes sense. I felt like my daughter has a gift of something, just don't know yet. Yep. Yep. You can ask me that offline. Yep. Sydney, trying to keep up with all the book recommendations. Remember, this is recorded. So if you need to go back through and go through the messaging, you can. It's absolutely there. Oh, William Maddox says selenite. Absolutely. Selenite is fantastic. I might have a little piece, down here with me in the basement, in case anyone wants to know what a nice large chunk of selenite looks like. This is actually what a nice large chunk of selenite looks like. Now, the most amazing part is I have that one, and I also have my black amethyst as well sitting here. And the weirdest thing is that I got those two large chunks of all places from a home goods store that Nikki and I went to. And they had all these wonderful big pieces of stones like this huge piece of selenite that you can see is just raw cut. And they were selling these because they didn't know what they had. So I literally picked up this large piece of selenite for $20. It was amazing. And my black amethyst right here also has a tint of purple, so it's also known as grape amethyst, but it's black amethyst. They sold this one for $15. So they had no idea what they had. And I am very happy for that because I got them for fantastic prices. Uilani, yes, thank you, got it. Just needed confirmation. They're going to love you guys, LOL. Yeah, we'll see about that. Rosie says, I pour salt outside. I figured I'd do that. Yep. Let's see. William, good to see my brother using the lion spiritual medicine. Book is a grand idea. Thank you. I much appreciate that. That is something I'm looking at. Nighthawk, I'm telling you, Lion has stepped into me, everything I've been doing so much lately. In fact, I wanted to tell you, hopefully you're still on here. I have been having a lot of visions, not dreams, but visions lately. And I have realized that when I run, I mentioned this to somebody else, when I run on all fours. And I've identified what I'm doing. If I am running in a pack, if I am running as a protector, if I am running as a group of protection, I run as a wolf. If I am running as a leader, if I am the one spearheading what is happening and I am going to protect absolutely everything as a leader, I run as my white lion spirit. I recognize that. So it's interesting to see that happening and how much my blue-eyed white lion spirit animal is coming forward to very much make me step into owning what I do and who I am. So hopefully you're still on here to hear that. Yes. Kim, yay, Home Goods have a lot of great rocks that need rescued. Yes. And yes, that was a great deal. I absolutely love that as well. Put a little piece of selenite under my pillow. Does not help me sleep like a squirrel that has, does not help me sleep. A squirrel that has HD. Yes, exactly. That's how I sleep. Oh, cool. I'm glad you're still on here. So that's good. What is the difference between a vision and daydreaming? So I will tell you what the difference is between a vision, because you can have a vision while awake. Please understand that. But the difference between a vision and a dream is a dream, you cannot make out faces, numbers, or words because your logical side of the brain does not work while you are dreaming. In a vision, you can see people's faces, you can make out numbers, you can make out full words, letters, whatever else. And if you understand how to focus on your vision, you can alter your vision. Now, some people use visions as a form of deja vu. It's a way to possibly see what's about to happen sometime in the future. Some people use it as visioning, which is what I do. My vision is kind of my, and a lot of people don't know they do this, so I'm going to explain this to you. When you have a vision, you don't always remember your vision, all right? But a lot of times, something happens to you, and you're like, holy crap, I've done this before, like deja vu. Deja vu could be a couple of things. It could be a past life. It could be a slipstream between timelines, slow written in English, for words are hard right now, that you crossed over into a parallel universe where it's happened to you before and you come back into it, so you lived it again. Or it's because you had a vision, and in your vision, you have already done this. But now that you're awake, it's happened again. So all of a sudden, you're having a moment of deja vu. Now, if you get to the point, and you can practice this, if you understand your visions and you can remember your visions, I have a wonderful couple of abilities when I do visions. I can change the people that are in my visions. I can wake up from a vision, and I can make myself go back to sleep and start off in that vision exactly where I left off on. Or I can change other aspects of my vision I just don't like. So it's kind of nice to be able to do once you actually understand how visions work. And that's why I'm seeing me run on all fours is in my vision, in my visions, not in my dreams. So that's very cool that I'm actually stepping into that power that's been given to me, and I'm actually starting to see it in my visions. You can actually vision when you daydream. It happens when you're kind of in your self-meditative state and you're just driving without the music on, and all of a sudden you show up at a location and you're like, how in the hell did I get here? A lot of people call that, and it's a meditative stage that you're just like, wow, my car drove up here by itself. That's kind of cool. But a lot of times you'll also have that deja vu moment at that point, deja vu moment later on when you were driving. After you've driven, you've got somewhere like, man, I've done this before. Or when you've driven that same path, you're like, I've already done this before. You were having a vision at that time. It's not dangerous when you're doing it while you're awake. It just simply is. Daydreaming is just letting your mind wander. It doesn't hook up to your logical side again. So when you're in a daydream, you're just there. You're not really focused on anything. It's just time to let your mind wander. It's, to me, the daydreaming is more of the meditative state than a vision is. Thank you, William. I much appreciate it. I'm learning. I'm still learning. I'm always going to be learning, but I'm stepping into it. So that's good. Sydney, what's my favorite crystal? That is a fantastic question. I wish I had an answer for you, but I don't. I would, if I have to lean towards something, wow, I would, oh man, I would probably have to lean towards a black kyanite. Kyanite in general. I'm very, very particular to the blue kyanite because that's what the sword of Michelangelo or Michael of Saint Michael was made out of, was blue kyanite. When he cut down the demon that was identified as a dragon that was pushed down into hell, it was done with a blue kyanite sword. So I'm very fond of the kyanites for protection. Even though blue kyanite isn't really a protection, it's more of a calming stone. It's more of a peaceful stone. His sword was made out of this. So I am very, very much into the kyanites, but there are other ones I like as well. But that's just for me. Rosie, I see a little girl at a quick glance, and when I blinked, she was gone. Thought it was me as a little girl, but it didn't look like me. Maybe it was you as a little girl in a parallel life or a parallel universe that we overcrossed. And you sensed it because that is still your life source. That life source is still yours in another dimension or in another parallel universe or another part of a multiverse. It is still a part of your essence. It may not have your soul, but it still has a part of your essence. So when you see things like that, and you feel things like that, it most likely is, but it is a very small glimpse into another parallel, crossover universe that you saw, which could be how come it was a very quick glance, you blinked, and she was gone, because our abilities, the crossovers are very, very minute. They happen very quickly, or they can be a little lengthy, but those are very much more rare. But the small blinks are what happens quite often. Hi, Margaret. I didn't even know I'd still be doing the show this late. I'm an hour and 45 minutes into it, but here I am still talking. So, and now I have more people showing up. So, Nikki says, "Yeps, I do like crystals, kyanite, and jet. I do like jet. I really do like jet. Still, I mean, I wouldn't list it as a favorite, but it is one that I really like. I really enjoy. I just think jet is more pure for me as far as protection. A lot of people like the black kyanite or the tourmaline and stuff like that. But for me, jet just has a certain depth to it that I like. Is it possible? It is possible to live life in a parallel universe when you are sleeping. It happens so much. Absolutely. If you are down for the count and you are not using your life during that time while you are sleeping, you can very much be living that life in a parallel universe where you are awake and you are functioning in that one. That is also a time when you actually have those deja vu moments because you're living it. That's what I mean when I said it's possibly happening in another parallel universe and then it's happening now in this universe. That's literally what I'm talking about. It's what William's talking about right there. Thanks, Nighthawk. Yes, it is called jet. It is literally called jet. I like the weight of it. It's a very light stone as far as weight goes. It is a matted black. I don't see it shiny. It's very matte black. And when I put it in my hand, it just has a different energy to it than any of the other black stones that I carry. I just like jet. So, Margaret, how many parallel lives do we live? Good question. Now you're going to have to wake me up, and here we go, people. Remember, Margaret did this to you. Are we talking fractal patterns of multiple forms of life forms, or are we talking wave patterns? When we're talking about the multiverse, because understand fractals and waves. Fractals are broken off pieces of different multiverses or different universes, where our wave parallel universes are on an actual wave, and there are 26 of those that resonate around. The fractal ones can be never ending. But there's a limitation on how many we can be on at once. The wave patterns, we can have a parallel life in absolutely every single one of the 26 patterns of the waves. Are there more than 26? There can be. The belief is there could be up to 60. The nerdy style of quantum physics and theoretical, or quantum mathematics, theoretical statistics, which is this guy, knows of the 26 through my scientific side of knowledge that have pseudo been identified through touching off different parts of wave particles and everything else. But yes, so it just depends on how many we have. Do we need to have all 26 going at once? No. Do we have all 26 going at once? Maybe not. Maybe our energy is only spread out to 3 of these parallel lives. Remember, we're all made up of energy. Little bits of energy can go to each one of these parallel lives. Not all of them will have a soul. Are we living there as humans? If we're not a human, do we have a soul? Or are we just an energy force? So, welcome to the world of my head, people. You did this. Margaret, you asked this question. That's on you. But yes, so it really depends on how you want to look at things. I can go into this more in depth, but I know a lot of people are probably glazing over, especially since I've been doing this for an hour and 47 minutes. And that can be a show I do another time to talk about that. But yes, we can live in multiple areas, multiple parallel universes at the same time, or timelines at the same time. Margaret, we don't. I skipped a couple of them because there was some stuff before, but I'm just kind of continuing on this one. She says, how do we know if we're living a parallel life? How do you tap in? We don't. Sometimes we don't know if we're living a parallel life. Sometimes we accidentally run into it. Like when Rosie said that she thinks she saw what she was a little girl, but it didn't look like her. I fully believe, just by listening to what I'm hearing from Spirit Guide, that was her tapping into another parallel universe of her when we glimpsed over each other. So for people who don't understand, our universes, our parallel lifetime universes, run minutely close together, closer than the width of an electron. So for us to kind of overlap every once in a while happens. And that does happen. People ask about, oh, well, there's that picture that was faked about people living in 1956, and they're all standing there at a parade, but there's this one guy that has glasses on, and he's holding a cell phone. How did that happen? Who's to say it was fake? It's been around forever, before really we did AI and stuff like that or whatever else. Maybe someone got the perfect shot of when 2 universes overlapped, and that was a no shit picture, type of thing. So we don't know for 100% how we know if we're living parallel lives. Deja vu is a big one. I mentioned that earlier. If you have a deja vu moment, it might be from a parallel life or a multiverse life. 2 totally different things, by the way. Parallel and multiverse are 2 totally different things. Whew. There you go, people. Nighthawk, much love. Appreciate you coming on. Love talking to you, brother. Appreciate your encouragement and mentor. And we will talk again later. Thanks. But yeah, so there's really no real way to tell 100% how many lives you live in a parallel, how many lives are alive in parallel universes or parallel lives. I'm going to go back up to a little bit. Kathy's asking, does your shungite make your fingers black when you touch it? Nikki said, great question, Kathy. I have a shungite bracelet and it leaves black on my wrist. I thought it was a fake or cheap. Kim, can you help with this? Would shungite leave black marks when you wear or touch it? I don't know if Kim ever answered that question, so I have to scroll down to look. I don't see an answer from Kim, so I don't know yet. I have a block of shungite right here that sits by me, so my internet stops breaking, and even this sometimes isn't strong enough. But it has never turned my fingers black. But mine is shiny too. Know that not all shungite is shiny. My bracelet I wear, my shungite bracelet I wear, is not shiny. It's a matte colored, but I don't know if it's ever left color on me, black on me. Let's see, where else do I go? Let's see. Sorry. Nikki's yelling at me halftime, which basically means time for me to start wrapping up, getting ready for bedtime. Rosie says, parallel universe, is that when someone dies in my reality, are they still alive in someone else's? Absolutely. They can actually be alive in your other lifetime, in your other reality. Parallel universe does not just mean they die in your reality and they're still alive in someone else's. You can be alive in both realities, in both universes. You could have died in both universes and you're alive in a different parallel universe, or a different multiverse or anything else. So it's not specifically tied to life and death when we're talking parallel universes. You can have multiple lives in multiple universes. So Nikki just called me a nerd. Rosie's asking, how am I going to sleep? Someone else is tapping in. Did I get to block? Because it was just an advertisement. How am I going to sleep tonight? Like a baby until she goes to sleep, like I normally do. So, but that is a good point that I'm about to run on to 2 hours, hour and 52 minutes, and I'm going to call it for tonight. Did not expect to go this long. We started off a little slow, simply because I didn't have a guest, and I wasn't sure how many people were going to show up tonight. But I'm glad everybody did show up, and I appreciate all the questions and letting me ramble on, acting like I know what I'm talking about. And I hope other people got information for what they needed as far as, as far as getting information for the books, getting information about your kid there, Jerica, all this other wonderful stuff that you need. Sydney, if you need any more help from me, reach out. I'm here. Keith says basic shungite is soft, sometimes leaves dust like particles. Yes, it can. Very true. It is a very soft stone. Thanks for the update there, Keith. Good info. But again, thank you for participating in my ramblings. I appreciate it. I really do like doing these a lot. I really like doing these open mic nights. I just don't do them as often because I just don't know if you all will have questions enough to ask me every week. So that's why I kind of try to keep it to like once every quarter or every so often, because I want things to happen that build up so you guys actually have to ask questions. If I'm doing this every week, I can just do readings every week for people, but not everyone will have as much information to ask as if I'm doing it every so often. So I hope that makes sense. Plus, I like to give my guests an opportunity. Speaking of guests, let me jump onto here really quick and tell you who my next guest is. Oh, my goodness, if it's who I think it is. Let's see. No. Where am I at? Oh, so next week is Sarah Grimm. I like Sarah Grimm. She is friends with Taryn Kerper and a lot of the girls from the Paranormal Peaches who I had on before. We're going to have a lot of fun talking to her. This is going to be more towards the paranormal side, investigations, what they come across, how they do things, and everything else. And she does have some abilities as well. So this will be fun to talk to her. I like her a lot. She has a really good energy. So make sure that you reach out next week as well. 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific. Come say hi. Other than that, much love. Have a wonderful week. Take care of each other. Hope you all learned something. Have